Hello and welcome. I'm Colton Kelly, and I am from Group 8, and I will be joined by my fellow team members, Stephen, Sierra, and Priya. And for our presentation, we're going to talk about the article, The Cautious Path to Strategic Advantage, How Military Should Plan for AI. Our group will break down and talk through key points within artificial intelligence making its way into militaries.
The agenda for this presentation is to find out what critical issues are discussed for this article, what we can better understand from reading this article, what key concepts from our book one can match this article, and what implications does this article's discussions can we connect to current practices and policies.
As Stephen just talked about, he went through the agenda that we will talk about through this presentation. So first I'm going to start with the critical issues at hand. With AI, we have to be ethical, safe, and responsible with it. With AI entering militaries, there are plenty of various issues that arise. The unpredictability of AI. When using artificial intelligence in military environments, harsh consequences are more likely, especially when you work with autonomous weapons, as they don't have any humans controlling them. AI systems continue to develop, which means they become more complex. This leads to systems becoming possibly more vulnerable because of the complexity. Systems can be introduced to biased data, which will ultimately just damage the system because it's being fed false information. So it's important that we feed our systems correct data, not biased data or just false information in general, because it will damage the system. And when you're working with AI, that is something that you do not want, and you want to keep it from being vulnerable. The last bullet point in this slide talks about the ethical dilemmas, finding common ground on how to use AI in the best possible way, following protocols, whether that's just within a general military or it's nationwide, like laws, worldwide laws that nations follow, keeping accountability, especially how I pointed out with autonomous weapons. There's no human, so if that was to be unpredictable and say kill a group of civilians, who is responsible for that? There needs to be the accountability, which is why the author actually states that the military should not remove humans from operations, which is something I agree with 100%. You got to keep humans in there just to kind of make the final calls and keep that sort of control with human emotion and decision making.
Continuing from the last slide, here is a deeper dive into critical issues around military AI systems. First, without human intervention, there is a higher risk of accidental conflict. If something goes wrong, there might be no one to resolve or verify the situation. This could escalate things quickly. Next, military to military collaboration become extremely important. This article emphasizes how different nations must agree on communication standards so that AI systems don't create dangerous feedback loops or interfere with each other. Finally, we need to focus on the safety of AI systems. That means designing them carefully, testing thoroughly, and making sure they are trustworthy. This includes both how the weapons function and how secure they are from cyber threats.
A better understanding. Adversarial attacks are a major concern. Machine learning systems can be manipulated using data poisoning, model stealing, or adversarial examples, making them unreliable in combat settings. Accidental conflict escalation, anonymous weapons, or AI based command systems may misinterpret signals or escalate situations without human judgment, leading to unintended wars. Caution is necessary. The author stresses that militaries should not rush AI deployment, especially in the kill chain, due to safety, unpredictability, and ethical issues. AI is high risk in military contexts. Mistakes in defense systems can be catastrophic, unlike civilian systems. Military AI require extra layers of predictability, robustness, and oversight. Human oversight is essential. The article argues against removing humans from operational decisions, especially lethal ones, because only humans can assess context and accountability.
Now we're going to talk about key concepts from the book. Ethical theories in technology. Ethical frameworks like utilitarianism, maximizing benefit, and deontology, following rules help evaluate if AI warfare is ever justifiable. Utilitarianism focuses on outcomes, so we could ask, would using AI in warfare ultimately save more lives than it endangers? And then the question we can ask for deontology is, even if AI even if AI leads to fewer casualties, is it ever morally right to delegate life and death situations to machines, as these machines that are deadly have ability within AI? The second concept we're going to talk about is accountability in digital systems. When autonomous systems make decisions, who is responsible? This echoes textbooks themes about transparency and digital accountability. So say if an autonomous drone makes a mistake, targets the wrong building, who is it held accountable? Would it be the programmer, the military commander, who decided to set the drone out? And this kind of directly connects to the textbook themes about transparency and traceability within AI and in these systems. We need systems that not only make decisions, but systems that can also explain how and why they made them. And that this is something that is important working with AI. The third bullet point, AI bias and integrity. The article warns that biased or incomplete training data can lead to skewed decisions, just like the textbooks focus on data ethics and fairness. This is something where when you're working with autonomous systems, you need to have correct data and information. In a military context, this could be catastrophic. An AI system misidentifying a threat based on skewed or biased data, that could potentially escalate the whole conflict and situation and blow things way out of proportion and harm civilians. The textbooks focus on data ethics and fairness is critical here. We want to make sure that there's no bias within our information, and that's such an important aspect when working with artificial intelligence. The data is fed. The second to last thing is cybersecurity fundamentals. This reinforces textbook principles about security systems, highlighting how military-grade AI could be hacked, hijacked, or fed misleading data, which kind of leads off the AI bias. But AI is really essentially, it's only as secure as the system it's built on. If you implement and develop it weakly to start, then it's not going to be a very strong system. And when working with cybersecurity, you want to make sure that it is the best possible, and you don't want it to be too vulnerable, even as it gets more complex, as I talked about earlier. You want to make sure that it's encrypted, it's secure, and just everything is just highly in a high stakes system. And that is something that is very, very important with AI, is the cybersecurity. The last bullet point is precautionary principles. Military AI must follow a safety-first approach, resonating with the book emphasis on slow, responsible innovation for high-risk tech. Precautionary principles mean we should avoid deploying powerful AI systems unless we're confident that they are safe and ethical. The textbook talks about responsible innovation in high-risk tech, and there's arguably no high risk than life or death situations. And the safety first is also very important. We want to make sure that the systems that we are deploying are as safe as they can possibly be, and there's not any vulnerabilities. The cybersecurity is good, and And the potential for irreversible harm requires that we must move slowly, test it very rigorously, and stay transparent at every stage. That way, people kind of know what's going on within the systems and that sort of thing. So these are the key concepts from the book.
Some of the current practices and policies that relate are the Department of Defense AI Principles of 2020, Project Maven controversy, NATO and UN talks on autonomous weapons, cybersecurity investment shifts, and open collaborative AI research. And these kind of all tie into each other, but I'm going to start off with the Department of Defense AI Principles of 2020. What this really talks about is the exercise of appropriate levels of judgment and care of the AI capabilities. The department will take deliberate steps to minimize unintended biases in the AI capabilities. The department's AI capabilities will be developed such that relevant personnel possess an appropriate understanding of the technology, development processes, and operational methods applicable to AI capabilities. Will be transparent, and data sources and design procedure and documentation. It will be reliable, so they want to have it to be successful with what it does, and its capabilities will have an explicit, well-defined use, and the safety, security, and effectiveness of such capabilities will be the subject to testing. How this kind of ties into Project Maven and its controversy is the Department of Defense wants to dump a bunch of money into it, and it wants to start to militarize this for imagery and video. It aims to automate the identification of targets and other objects of interest from various data sources, such as drone footage, satellite imagery, and other sensors. And the NATO and the UN talks on autonomous weapons and their ongoing international efforts to regulate and or ban lethal autonomous weapons, because there's already been development of that in some of these European warfare, especially between Russia and Ukraine. They're starting to develop more and more into the drone and the AI. But the cybersecurity investment is shifting because of these kind of things as well. So cybersecurity investment is shifting towards a focused prevention and proactive measures with a growing emphasis on identity and access management, and cloud security and cybersecurity and the growth threat landscape, leading to increased spending on endpoint protection and network security. And how this kind of ties into the open collaborative AI research, promoting global research sharing on AI safety. And it involves researchers, developers, and industrial leaders working together to advance AI through shared resources. Open source initiatives, so basically people can go in and find information on AI and try to develop it even more. And inclusive practices such as, so basically it aims to accelerate the technology innovation and knowledge and foster ethical and responsible AI development.
So this was our group's presentation. Thank you for watching, and below are our names and our emails for any contact information if you have any questions. Thank you.